Hi, and welcome to another episode of Boozing with Boomers. I'm Dave, and I've been on a quest to make a great balanced cocktail, so please hit subscribe so we can go on this journey together. Today we're going to make the Autumn Sweater, which is a great cocktail that I found in the book called Bitters by Brad Thomas Parsons. I love creating new cocktails, but I also realize there are professionals out there that know way more than me, have way more experience than I do, and so I use their recipes to learn how to make cocktails and learn what I like. But I also sometimes take their recipe, and if it's not, in my mind, doesn't fit my palate, I make small changes to it. So this is a great example because I thought the maple syrup in the original recipe was a little too sweet for me. So I lightened that up a little bit, and I also didn't have one of the bitters he calls for, which is Urban Moonshine maple bitters, and I swapped that out with Angostura. The other thing about this cocktail that caught my eye was it uses two of my favorite Amars. Actually, this is 1 and 2 in the Amari class. Averna, we've already made in the Black Manhattan and the Zinger last episode. So I'll introduce you to Nonino today. What's great about these is not only do they play well together, and create layers of flavor in this cocktail that is very unique and makes this a great cocktail to share with others and kind of introduce them to the types of things you can do with a cocktail. But they're also digestives, and they're great on their own. As a matter of fact, they were built with these small families in Italy specifically for the purpose of having this digestif after a big dinner, which helps settle your stomach. So 1, I think both of these should be a staple in your home bar. And 2, I think you should get one or both before Thanksgiving, because that is a holiday that we tend to overeat. And you will find that this actually will settle your stomach, which it did for me after a huge dinner last night. Lastly, as with any classic cocktail, we have found out that the history is a little bit murky and it's not truly clear how some of these things came about. But bitters falls into that category as well. So we do know that there was something like bitters back in the early 1700s. It was considered patent medicine that people would take. And simply, what is patent medicine? It happens to be some concoction that was patented, so it's protected under patent law and was allowed to be sold without a prescription. So kind of imagine a snake oil salesman with a federal license to sell his elixir. Then you know what patent medicine is. And secondly, around 1750, we do know that bitters were starting to be used in cocktails, and specifically there are writings with the burnt brandy, So that's when we believe bitters mixology was started. And if you want me to learn how to make burnt brandy cocktail, please let me know, and I will do the research and figure out what that means. So today we're going to make the Autumn Sweater and using my recipe. And please feel free to fiddle with it yourself. If you do like it more sweet, just add a little more maple syrup. The key thing here is make it your recipe, and that way you'll have more fun playing with cocktails. So here's an interesting issue or challenge with this one. Normally we talk about you put the least expensive ingredients first into the cocktail. What's really interesting about all these per ounce, they're all roughly the same, so it really doesn't matter. And the other thing I'm doing today is I wanted to actually show 3 rye whiskeys. I just learned about Old Overholt Rye Bonded. The original Old Overholt I don't like in cocktails because it doesn't have enough flavor for me. My staple for most cocktails has been Rittenhouse. Going for the 100 proof is the Rittenhouse Rye. If you want to go up a level, which is about $10 more, Knob Creek Rye is brilliant. But I'm also trying to make these cocktails on whatever budget you have. So I'll always make a recommendation, and then you can go further. I don't know if it's over my head or not. Probably my favorite rye of all time is Whistle Pig Rye, and it does not get drowned out by a cocktail. So that's going up another $30 in price point. So as we work forward, and I've never tried this cocktail with Old Overholt Bonded, so I decided I would experiment with you today. So first, I'm actually going to take the rye and pour it in there. And by the way, these two are roughly the same price, right around $25. And then, so it's 1 ounce of rye whiskey per cocktail. Remember, I'm making 2 today. You then do ½ an ounce of Averna, and I already put in the maple syrup. 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. And the reason I do that is sometimes when you're holding it over here, it just takes too long to fall into the container, and I don't want to waste your time. And then ½ ounce of Amaro Nonino. I'm sorry, half ounce of yeah, I'm putting in 1 ounce. Did the maple syrup, and then it is per cocktail is one dash of orange bitters, but because I'm making 2, and 1 dash of angostura. Now it does call for urban moonshine. If you can find maple bitters, please do so. It also could be the kind of cocktail you play with another bitter. And if you noticed, I wanted to point this out again, when I did a dash of bitters, more came out of the Reagan's orange than did the angostura. That's normal. That's what they want. So they make the tops of these, when they say a dash of this, they make the tops to pour out as much as they want you to. This is another stirred drink. So again, and 2 things I want to point out here is I will run real quickly. This is a stirred drink that we're going to pour over a large ice cube as well. And what I did for this episode is I actually chilled the glass and the ice cube together, which will make sure it melts even slower than normal. So give me a second. So now we're ready. Now we can add the ice. I think every episode I almost drop the ice. Okay, now again we stir for 20 seconds. This is, and again, anytime you pour it on a rock, what I like about these cocktails is this is where you can change the whole heat of your cocktail. So when it's cold out, I sometimes don't stir it as much intentionally. So it starts off a little bit stronger. I happen to like strong cocktails, especially in the wintertime. But because I'm pouring it on a large rock, the great thing about this is it eventually will dilute. So I love up cocktails. They're probably my favorite because the flavor doesn't change. But sometimes it's fun to just do it with a rock and just watch how it changes as it gets a little more dilution. And then of course we had to pour some for the boomer. Yeesh, that wasn't good. And we need to remember, so I'm not going to try to flame it this time, but we want an orange peel. And really all you have to do is squeeze the sides, and you should see in the glass, you'll just start to see the oils pop out. And the other thing I learned is when you're cutting, so there are several ways to do peels, and I won't go into too much, but you want to cut deep enough that you get enough of the pith in the orange, and that actually ensures that you have enough oils, and you should see it spray out. And then I always rub it on the edge of the glass because that allows you, let me just present that correctly, that allows that orange aroma to be part of it. And Averna loves orange, and I was surprised that so does Nonino. So that's your cocktail. And then the boomer needs his. So, and it's kind of fun when you see the oils kind of fly out, and which are the same oils you need to flame it. So if you want to flame this and tell me how it tastes, I would love to hear about it. So let's see how this is with a rye I've not tried in this cocktail. Yeah, that's really good. So, like all the cocktails, I am trying to find balanced cocktails that would be generally interesting and tasty for everybody. So while this cocktail is all liquor, but these are lower proof. They have a lot of flavor in them with the herbs and herbs and bark and spices. So it doesn't taste as hot on the palate, but it definitely warms you up as the drink goes down. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and learning how to make the autumn sweater. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe so we can go on this journey with Boozing with Boomers together. Thank you and cheers.